Alright, Truman to call peace in war times. Alright, this video right here is gonna focus on Adolfo's contradicting. Alright. Cooper put this up October the 4th, 2018. Alright, post deleted. It's not a question, it's an opinionated statement. But what I will ask is, when did Dr. York get permission to use any of Afroo's names, twisting them and taking from his writings? Adolfo Taharqa Nicole L. is the co-author of the book The Man of Many Faces, and in the book it says that one of Dr. York's names was Afroo, which the spelling was made incorrect on purpose, and Oonoo Barakaptar, which the spelling was made incorrect on purpose as well. What documentation did Dr. York have to use Afroo's names, and what documentation did the Nawapians and Dr. York get for stealing section from all of Afroo's works? What documentation did the Nawapians get to put the picture of Afroo in the Nawapian bookstore and still spelled his name wrong on the picture? Where's that documentation? The things the Nawapians and Dr. York have done need to have legal paperwork. Noonaboos don't need legal paperwork to study Noon. If you have sound right reason, you qualify. Simply, if you don't understand it, that's your problem. Alright, so Taharqa responds, okay, after it was clearly established yesterday that this pseudo-Noon science offshoot group had absolutely no credible evidence of certified permission or authorization to teach or represent Noon science from Afroo, let's get into today's question for day 2, much more to come. Alright, so then if you go down to here, which is the part that I want to look at. Alright, so Taharqa says, first of all, you deleted my question because you did not have an answer for it. It was a clear sign of weakness and lack of knowledge on your part. Not to worry, I have hundreds of more in-depth questions to ask you in the weeks to come. You open a question and answer form, then delete questions you are uncomfortable with and cannot answer. Alright, anyway, to answer your question, there's no evidence that York has ever used Afroo's name or to refer to himself as such in any of his publications. In the book, The Man of Many Faces, we cited the name misspelled Afroo as one of York's names, as many old followers of Noon science in the UK, Europe, and Africa had believed York was Afroo, which is why we placed the name at the beginning of the book to show that this was one of the names York was known by members of the public. Alright, so which we had already showed that made no sense. Alright, let me show you the name that he was talking about. Just give me a second. Alright, so I'm gonna go to this post where I pull it up. Alright, 2015, when I contacted Christian Jefferson. Alright, when you go into this, you can see where it says Dr. Malachi Z. York, founding spiritual leader of the United Nawapian Nation of Moors, although many black leaders and organizations have attempted to address the issue of an authentic African-centered belief system, none have done so with anywhere near the same success of Malachi York, known throughout his 35-year ministry by a plethora of different names and titles, which have included. So then you put it over here, Afroo. So again, what he said and what he did was not clear, and it didn't make no sense. Because if I'm gonna cite a name in front that I know, according to him, because he said he been following York and studying York since the 80s, nowhere near in that time when York was out did he use the name Afroo. However, he said he cited it. So what he should have did was made a special section where Afroo was separate from it and said that, again, because that makes no sense to say, because he said up here York was known throughout his 35-year ministry by a plethora of different names. He should have said that Afroo was a name that some of the followers of York and Noon science thought York was known by this name, but there's no documentation saying that York ever used Afroo Oonoo's name. All right. So this is coming from the 2010 book. Now, I already showed you where he came into the group after the fact, 2018, right? And if he been watching everything he was doing, what we have been doing since he's been known about this, because I contacted Christian Jefferson in 2015. He finally has the nerve to come into the group 3 years later, trying to talk to us about something that we already had been on since 2014 heavy. And then we contacted a lot of people who had first hand knowledge and experience with Afroo Oonoo. That's what you call primary sources. So he didn't even qualify for secondary primary sources. Everybody he talked to was way down the line. Like we said before, if he was a real researcher and could take criticism, when I contacted Christian Jefferson, all he had to do was contact the secondary primary source, which would be us, because we the ones who contacted primary sources in the flesh and spoken to. So we are following the rules when it comes to that. This is why his book and his statements are not credible, and anybody knows that. That's like doing the little class, experiment where you take everybody in the classroom and you whisper one thing in the ear of the person, and they pass it down and pass it down. By the time you get to the end of the person in the class, the statement have changed multiple times. So this is why we keep saying he's a trash writer and a researcher. One, because his writings are inconsistent and his research is not nowhere near in the top 3 primary sources or close enough to where he can get the story straight. He should have contacted the very person that found problems in the book the first time. But because he took it personal and emotional, and he didn't want to look at the fact he put out mistakes, this is why there's a problem. Okay? It's not our fault that he didn't know how to deal with proper criticism. All right? So now you jump into this, right? Let's read this again. All right, and this is out of this book. Despite this, Malachi York was still charged with multiple counts of child molestation and eventually sentenced to 135 years imprisonment in 2004. Since his arrest, York's legal team have worked tirelessly to present crucial evidence that should have immediately exonerated the now 74-year-old Nuwaubian leader, which included a video recorded sworn affidavit by key prosecution witness Abigail Washington asserting the Nuwaubian leader's complete innocence, which was promptly disregarded by prosecutors. The mainstream media and later the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in 2005, known and associated throughout his 35-plus year ministry by a plethora of different names and titles, which have included, Asayad, Imam Isa El-Hadi, El-Mahdi, Rabboni Yahshua, El-Hadi, Afroo Oonoo. Now he got the name spelled right. So again, this book came out in 2021. He clearly stated earlier that they only cited the name in there last time because his followers and people that studied Noon Science thought that was him. But he still didn't correct the same mistake. This would mean you copy and paste it from your own self. Okay? So Afroo Oonoo, according to your own writings, now anybody who reads this, without even seeing the conversation you had when you came in our group, clearly shows that you was you ignored being told the truth. You still did the same thing. What you should have did was just left Afroo Oonoo name out of York's names as on a complete whole. Why even put it in here? That's the point that we're trying to make. Even now, even to this point, even though you done wrote a whole trash book and lied on not just me and other people in my circle, You done lied on other people you had no real knowledge of. And I told you we're gonna keep bringing the facts because that's what this is about. This is a game. This game is about bringing forth evidence and proving and or disproving what a person is doing or have not done X, Y, and Z. You taking it personal because you didn't want to take criticism, and I'm gonna prove that by your own words that all you do is tell lies.
And to the brother Adafa Taharqa, brother, if you would like to introduce yourself, and we already know your history. We know you go way back with the nation, but if you want to give a brief description and a brief little history about yourself and how you got involved also with the Noonie Boom or Tarnoon issue.
Yeah, greetings, Rahubat, Salam Alaikum, Ikaro, Ikaso.
Rahubat.
Well, you already know my background. Well, you don't know my background actually because I've given away too much as it is. I really keep my identity. I'm part of a team of researchers. We Dr. York loyalists based in Nigeria and UK, and we just wanted to, deal with all of this slander because originally we were part of the research team that put together the Man of Many Faces, which was headed by Swedish and South African, part Swedish, part South African professor. We approached him about doing the project because we wanted the book to be an academic work. So we were part of the team, research team, and we also contributed sections of that book as well. But the way it was done was in an academic format. So that was a Man of Many Faces years ago. But my background was, my father was an Ansar, and I had Dr. York's books in my house. We had Dr. York's books in our house as children. From the Yoruba book, from the whatever happened to the Nubian Islamic Hebrews, going back all the way to the books from the 70s. So when these people say to me that I don't know the doctrine and I'm new to this, I just laugh because their problem is they don't know the influence of Imam. And I'll just say this quickly about Noon Science. I don't know that much about Noon Science. From my brief knowledge of Noon Science is that in the 80s, we thought Afroo was Dr. York. That's what we thought, which is why the name Afroo is in the book. 80s, right. 90s, late 80s, 90s. We thought Afroo, everybody thought, where I was, and the circles that I've been researching in, all the followers of Dr. York believed that Afroo was Dr. York, and Dr. York was Afroo. That's why the name Afroo is referenced in the book.
Right.
This is what he wrote, the moon god sent. Listen to reason. For those of you who received part 1 to this book called The Mystery of Set Solved. See how he talking about Set and the god, sin, moon god, sin, and all of this negative shit, trying to clear that up. He ain't clearing up nothing about the sun because the sun ain't in him. And other writings relevant to this one should be ready to fully understand the grand finale. This has been a long journey for Nupu, who is 47 years old in this realm, and its messenger, Amin Nubi Raka Fatah / Afro Oonoo / Cypher M Nupu, parentheses, Dr. Malachi Z. York.
With Tonka with that one, I'm a disagree with that because I'm gonna say I think UG Brown is Afroo Oonoo, who was on the obituary, and he passed away in 2011. So check this out: we didn't get the books till 2008.
Right.
2 years later, Afroo Oonoo passes away, but we didn't get the obituary in 2005. I mean 2015. So from 2008 to about 2012, 13, if you was familiar with the books, then you thought that was Dr. York naturally, like Taharqa said.
See, secondly, the name Afroo Oonoo was always associated with Dr. York, as well as Amanubi Rakta. So Dr. York referred to himself as Amanubi Rakta, and Afroo Oonoo and Amanubi Rakta are synonymous together. So it only stands to reason that we thought Dr. York was Afroo Oonoo. It's a genuine, observation, which the Nunabu's tried to use to discredit the book.
Right.
What he does is he's a snitch, and he sneaks around contacting people, sending people emails, and trying to harass people for information, and also spying. That's what he does. He doesn't have any scholarship. There's no scholarship. It's always slander. That's what he is. He's a slanderer.
Yes, sir.
A debunker. That's what he is. So deal with the scholarship. You say you're going to debunk my book. I'm a Nigerian fraudster, yeah? So come and deal with this book. Stop trying to contact old women. Come and deal with this book. That's why I'm here.
Hey, Taharqa, he can't get with the book, man.
That's all. I said, if I'm a fraud, I'm a trash researcher. Come, let's deal with the book, page for page.
This is a proper written book, bro.
That's it. Simple. I got nothing to say. What I got to say is in the book.
Yeah, salute to the book, man. This is a good written book, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. According to them, the book's trash and it's poorly researched, and we're trash researchers. So if we're trash researchers, come, let's bring out a book to rebuke this book, or come, let's debate the book. That's it. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen though, because they have no book writing skills at all, aside from stealing whole pages, just plagiarizing, and things of that nature. So, yeah, you'll never get a book to contest yours, bro.
Can I just say, also, they're getting too much credit and airtime because this book is a history of Dr. York, as we know, yeah? It's a history of his teachings. Doc's teachings are so wide, and they're so wide and so huge. The area that his teachings covers, yeah? This noon stuff, yeah? I know that you follow it. I'll give respect to it, yeah? But it's only a small part of it.
Yeah.
It's a small part of what
it's an introduction. Right.
You see? Small part of it. Even
got the bussy money.
What it was is they sent an email to our publishers, yeah? He sent an email to our publishers trying to get through to Jovan Christensen, yeah? The lead author. So we've got it in the new rebuttal. It's the whole transcript. The whole transcript is there. So he sends an email inquiring like he does, the snake that he is, trying to put the author off Dr. York, saying that, this guy, why are you writing a book supporting this guy, about these charges and things like that. So he's trying to bring animosity between the author and Doc. So those emails, obviously, are sent to us, right? So throughout the email exchange with him and the author, the main author of The Man of Many Faces, the author says, look, this information was passed to us by people that are affiliated with the Moabian movement. That's obviously myself and some others, yeah? So it had nothing to do with him. This information is us that we about Afroo Oonoo being Dr. York. We thought he was Dr. York. So then, because he didn't get the information he wanted, he started going on YouTube. We didn't respond to him. We didn't respond to him at all. We just archived that information so that we could study it and dissect it. He sent us loads of information about Afroo Oonoo, about Johnny Eugene's obituary, everything. So we just archived the information and we had no intention of using it. So then he starts going on YouTube saying, oh, this book, The Man of Many Faces, is unfactual. So he started throwing shots. So then I started going into their chat rooms and versing them. I started taking them on in their chat rooms, attacking them and asking them questions, taking them on, all of them by themselves, asking them questions. So as I'm asking them questions, I start to realize these guys don't know shit. They don't know nothing. So what I did is I transcribed everything to use at a future date. So he's the one who started slandering the book. He tried to debunk the whole book, The Man of Many Faces, the entire book, based on Afroo Oonoo's name being in there and it being spelt wrong. Those two things. He tries to dispel a book of 980 pages. So what he does, he's a slanderer. That's what he does. He's a slanderer, and he's a destroyer. That's what he does. He tries to tear people down. That's what he does.
Right.
So that's why I'm coming after him now, because he started it.
Exactly.
He's been doing it for years too. He's been doing it for years.
Heard everything that went on as far as how we got here. So this is why he's really upset. All right. So first of all, he says, I sent the author who they was working for as far as doing the research on Dr. York's basically his career and all that stuff like that. He said I sent him a boatload of information. Now remind you, this was 2015 that I sent all this information, right? He said he archived it. They was going to study and dissect it and they wasn't going to use it. Why? He wasn't going to use it because it would have showed the contradictions in the book in the first place that they wrote the double book. That's why he said he archived it and had no plan on using it, right? So that shows you he was being deceptive as far as putting it out, because the author already knew. I already told y'all that the author already knew and got on him about that. And this is why he eventually had to make the second statement. He said that he wasn't going to say anything until I started going out taking shots at the whole book, which is 900 some pages, and I did not do that. What I did was I used a broad term when I was talking about the book, but I was specifically speaking about Afroo Oonoo name being in a list of names talking to Nuwaubians, because that's the debate group we had. And on YouTube, he only responded because his name was attached to the book and he got exposed for being a trash researcher, which we've been showing right now. We keep telling y'all do not learn to leave us alone. When somebody is dealing with sound right reasoning, facts and evidence, you don't have that. You shouldn't bother that. What he should have done, which is what he had room to do, because I didn't target him or the other person. I just said, once again, for the record, that the people that helped Christian Jefferson put that stuff together with York had inconsistencies, were out of order. What he should have done with the information I sent him, he should have contacted us and did a book and just say, you know what, I didn't have all the correct information, I want to correct it. He would have came out as a better person and a better writer, because nobody just wins all the time. Sometimes you do put out information that's incorrect. Everybody goes through that. Nobody's exempt from that. All right? Even the Bible, the Quran, all those books that people hold dear and when died and killed people in the name of religion and their beliefs and their traditions, all of that stuff have inconsistencies or some kind of misinformation in it. So it wasn't that deep for us, and we did not take that man named Taharqa and drag it through the mud. I clearly stated the facts, and based on what we see right now, he still did the same thing. All right, so now he waited 3 years to come to the group because this is 2015 when I sent this email to Christian Jefferson. It's documented in the group. All right, he waited 3 years to come to the group and then started trying to debate when you in the wrong. I can see if I sent misinformation to Christian Jefferson, you know what he would have done? He would have took all of that and made it into a book and put it out that Tarnoon and it sent information that wasn't correct, and he would have transcribed it and put it in the book. He did not do that. What he did do was come to the group, try to create a fake narrative so he can take that and try to use that to discredit us, but it still doesn't change the facts that you put out misinformation about York and you messed up another man's reputation. Because you said to your own self, y'all went to this author and had a project and y'all got with this man, and again, because your lack of research, you and other guy, man, it's crazy that the other guy that helped co-wrote the book, why he ain't out here doing nothing? Why he ain't out here running behind you doing the same thing? Why? Because that other guy got enough sense to know that y'all participating and put out misinformation. You being a narcissist and being exposed is what scammers do. You try to create another scam to hide the original scam. Okay? That's something that Nigerians is got a bad habit. I don't know what's wrong with this part of the African race with Nigerians and scams and lying and trying to pretend and cover up. I don't know what's wrong with that part of the African race that come out of Nigeria. Y'all got a serious problem when it come to that. Y'all love lying and doing dirt to your own people. Same thing with York did all that molesting and robbing and hurting. He did that only to black people. So who's the real enemy of the Ethiopian race? Y'all are. All right. And that's pretty much my point. I was not trying to debunk the whole book. I ain't have nothing to say, nothing about it except Afroo Oonoo name. That was it. And I gave the author what he needed to have. And guess what? That's what he did. All right. So take that, do what you want with it. And we all coming for you with the book. Like you said, come on, let's debate the book. Let's debate the book. We finna debate the book. We finna destroy the book. Like you said, I'm a destroyer. That's right. That's what liberators do. They destroy and then create something in its place, which is what Noon is here for. All right? True men to calm and peace in wartime.